Good evening, everyone. Earthy Wise Woman here. And today I didn't know what to talk about, and then I realized it's right in front of me. Right now, I know that economically, a lot of people are going through a lot of hard times. And I think that sometimes we don't realize that buying the tools that we need as practitioners is really right in our backyards in some cases, or directly in our food banks, in our pantries, in our cupboards. So I'm going to go over some things that you probably didn't even know were magical, but are magical. And I'm going to go over some things that you probably never heard of. So I'm going to give you some recipes on how to make some stuff for yourself that won't cost you too much and you can do it without a problem. And I'm going to tell you the tools that you'll need to buy or buy at the thrift store, which is what I would suggest. And they're not all that hard. So let's get started, okay? First of all, I remember years ago when I was in college, I needed to buy some sage. But understand, I was not near any metaphysical stores, and I was a student on a budget. Actually, I was a poor student eating a lot of top ramen. So I didn't really have a lot of money. And I'm thinking, what can I do? And I remember calling up my grandma and said, Grandma, I am broke, but I really want to make a protection spell and I really want to just ward off a lot of evil because at the time I was living in areas that were not conducive to peace and quiet. Okay, just it just wasn't. And there was a lot of chaos and a lot of just a lot of mayhem going on around me. And I wanted to protect myself from that. I'm like, what do I do? And my grandmother then reminded me to refer back to my grimoire. And I'm going to tell you more about that and what to do as soon as as I get there. So I did, and then she said, "Honey, pine needles." I'm like, "Huh? Pine needles?" And I'm like, "Pine needles?" Yes, pine needles. You know what a pine needle looks like. I'm sure a lot of you guys have these in the backyard. You can find them at your parks. You can find them when you're taking a walk. Pine needles. And one way as a practitioner, I've got a lot of herbs. So I'm going to make this a suggestion to you. On your jar, write the herb. In this case, I just cut out the area where I bought it and I just place it there and it's pine needles. And on the back, I wrote out the properties and what it's good for, its attributes, and its planetary. So I'm going to read it to you. This is pine needles. A pine needle, you can find it on the street. You can find it on the ground. You can find it in your public park. You can find these anywhere. Probably even got them in your backyard. You can go hiking and find them. Absolutely free, by the way. Excuse me for scratching. So I'm going to read to you what I wrote. Burned during the winter months to purify and cleanse the house. Scattered on the floor, they drive away evil. When burned, rids negativity. That's what I wrote. So what does that mean? So let's say you can't afford sage, but there's pine needles all around you. What you can do is this: take the pine needles and you can just leave them out to let them dry, or you can dry them yourself. I wouldn't. I would just leave them out. It's easier. And then crush them up. And I know a lot of, well, I don't have a martel and pestle. You got a food processor, okay? I bought a dedicated food processor at my local thrift store, $5, and I just used that and I crushed it all up and I scattered it in corners and I sold them in satchels, which you can do as well. Put them in certain areas of your house to ward off evil. And as you already know, pine needles are everywhere. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is another um, herb. It is an herb. A lot of people do not realize it is an herb, but it is an herb. Beans. Beans. You can use beans to ward off evil. Any bean. Now, my grandmother was very specific about certain beans. In order to get evil away, my grandmother would take black beans. By the way, you can buy a big old bag of black beans for hardly nothing. She would soak them a little, soak them so that she could put thread and a needle through them. And she would make little bracelets for me and my cousins so that we would stay safe when we went out to play. And she would make them pretty. She would put other colored beans on them too. But it is to ward off evil. Okay, beans can be used for this. Also, beans can be certain beans. I use a lot of black eyed peas, and black eyed peas can be used in folk magic, and it is during the new year. It is considered good luck to make black eyed peas as part of your New Year's dinners to bring about more prosperity. That's what black beans does. Now, the origin of that is this. The folk name for for beans, not black beans, beans period is uh, poor man's meat. And a lot of people, how's that, folks? That is the folk name, poor man's meat. And the reason that is because during the time of slavery and during just people who are just poor, the Appalachian folks, they are poor. Beans were plentiful. It is a high protein, just like meat is a high protein. And it's plentiful, like I said that already. It's plentiful, high protein, and it will sustain your body. And it will sustain it well. So yes, I didn't even bring any beans because I know everybody knows what a bean look like. You can buy them anywhere. You can buy them at the grocery store. You can buy them at the 99-cent store. Beans are magical. Beans can be used for magic. Also, another way to use the beans is to crush them up into a powder form. Okay? To ward off evil, you can add it to a candle. Sprinkle it in there and it will work. It will ward off evil. My grandmother used to put pine needles and beans in satchels and give it to us. We would play with them. We did not know. She didn't tell us it was bad or good as far as playing with them. So we did. But we were safe. She put them in our backpacks. So here's the thing. If somebody saw them, it was just a bag of beans, little bean bag. Okay? But it is there to ward off even to keep it away from you. Beans. Okay, now I'm going to step into the abstract, the different, the strange. None of the above. It's not, it is abstract. And it's something you probably don't see too often. And here it is. I want to show this to you. Okay, this is called an Asha root. Osha. Asha is pronounced both ways. It's spelled Osha. Asha root. Now, this is usually found in North America, up in the mountains, near the creeks, Appalachian Mountains. And this is, okay, I'm going to give you both reasons. Magically, it is also for protection and, of course, to ward off evil. This is a root generally used by Native Americans. Okay? Also, back in the day, before we had a lot of antibiotics, this was used to fight off, not fight off, well, it can protect or not cure, but to treat tuberculosis. Now you can use this for upper respiratory infections, bad coughs, sore throats, um, sneezing, well, not so much sneezing, but coughing, such as that. This is very good for upper respiratory. Grind it up, make it into a tea or a tonic. Okay, Osha root. Another word for this, another folk word for this is bare root, just bare root. Okay, and like I said, there are several types of this kind of root because it's just a root from a tree. Okay, and it's usually a tree that is grown by a river or a lake, some source of water. So, Osha root. Okay, um, Would I suggest? It's a little expensive. It's a little expensive. I'm not going to deny it. And there are a lot of other things you can use, but I like this root. I like it because I do love getting roots that I've not really heard of or are not native in my area. Osha root. And it does make a good tea. I found that out. I let it steep for about 4 hours to make it soft, and the abstract came from the root, and I drank it with a little honey, and it did help with my cold because I did catch COVID, and this helped soothe. It did not cure. I don't want to hear. Nobody said did it cure it. No, but it did give me some antioxidants, and it did build up my immunity. This is very good for building up immunity. Okay, very good for fighting off colds and flu. Osha root or bear root. So I'm gonna put this back down. Now, on to my college days. I, as some of you do know, when doing ritual, you use little charcoal briquettes. I bought some. These, okay, okay. These right here. This is charcoal. That's one brand. Here's another one. This is Three Kings, and let me show you what they look like. They all basically look the same way. See, a little charcoal briquette. Now, back in the days when I was younger witch, these were about maybe for a tube of 10 of these, it was about, I don't know, about $2.95, $3 for a tube of 10. And believe it or not, I couldn't afford that. Now there are a lot more. There are a lot more. I could not afford that much back then. Um, so when I did was, I'm like, well, what am I going to do? I really want to burn, you know, herbs and everything. So what do I do? I found out something you can do. You can grind those up. Those can be crushed. You can add them to your herb, and you can light the whole damn thing. Now, let me explain that. A lot of you don't realize it, but a lot of people think, well, I got to go out and have somebody mix the herbs for me so I can burn them because I need something for protection, but I don't know what that is. Okay, guys, we need to start reading our books and studying our herbs because you don't need to go to a store to have them mix herbs for you. You can do this yourself. Yes, you can. Mm. Now, I'm going to show you something right here. Earlier this evening, I mixed this. Okay, I did this myself, and I know you're like, my God, that is dark. What in the world is this? Now, I'm going to tell you. These are herbs. I blended them together, and I'm going to give you the recipe and what is in this container. First, I started with bay leaves, and because Earthy Wise Woman wants to be real technical, I'm going to refer to a book that I think all of you guys should buy. And it's this one, The Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs by Scott Cunningham. This is a very good book to have. It's a good hands-on book. It's a good reference book. It's one that I use, among others. I have several. This is one I like because it's very quick and easy to grab, easy to look up, and it is very thorough. So I would strongly suggest you buy this book. Okay? It's what helps make Earthy Wise Woman wise. So I'm going to break this down for you. We're going to do this together. Now, the first thing I told you that I put into this herb mixture, let me hold it up again. This one right here was bay leaves. Okay? Bay leaves. B-A-Y leaves. L-E-A-V-E-S. Leaves. Okay, now, I know what bay is, but I'm going to look this up for you. Right here, bay. B-A-Y. Now, bay leaves is the gender of the herb is male. It is the planetary is the sun. Okay, what do we use bay leaves for? Protection, for psychic power, um, healing. That's right, strength, purification. Okay, so I put bay leaves in this. One of the herbs. Let me keep going. So I write this down. Bay leaves. Here we go. I also put pine needles. Okay, and as I told you before, pine needles is to ward off evil. Okay, you burn it during the winter for purification. But now you don't have to wait till the winter time to use it. Ironically, it is winter time, so use it. Add this to it. So I crushed that up and I put it in my mixture. Okay, we're going to continue on with more herbs that I added to this mixture. Are we ready? Good. Here we go. Another thing I added to this is rose petals. So we're going to keep going. Write this down. Rose petals. ROSE petals. I'm being flippant. I know you guys all know how to spell rose. I'm the world's worst speller. God's bless me, but I try. Now, why did I add rose? Here's the thing. I want you to remember one thing. With the bay leaves, psychic power is one of the things that is in a bay leaf. Also, warding off evil, which is also in the pine needles and also in the bay leaves. Warding off evil. Now, with roses, and also I want to also notice a balance, okay? Pine needles is masculine. Bay leaves is also masculine. But rose petals is a feminine herb. See, this is a balancing thing. Now, it comes from the element of water. If I were to choose the planetary, of course, it would be Venus, feminine, as I already said. And what is it good for? Well, we know love, but did you also know it's good for psychic powers, healing, okay, luck, protection, love, divination. Yes, it is. Now, why would I add that into this? Well, I needed it for the psychic power. I needed it for protection because this is going to be something I'm burning through my home. And I also want the energy of love to be through my house. Okay. Also, as I told you before, the bay leaf is a masculine energy and it is the element of fire, sun, planetary. This one is the element of earth. Okay, so you've seen, look at all this. You got water from the rose, you got earth from the pine needles, you've got fire from the bay leaves. But that's not all. I added more stuff. Oh, yes, I did. What else did I put into this? I put in hibiscus. Hibiscus. Now, many people say that hibiscus is the flower of the witch because hibiscus is very powerful. Okay, I don't consider it a flower of the witch. I always like to think of it as the Hawaiian flower, because it's pretty. It's very pretty. Beautiful smell. Again, hibiscus, a flower. It's feminine energy. It is the planetary, is Venus. And again, the element is water. What is that good for? You're going to love this. Love, lust, and divination. Now, I rarely burn it for lust, but I do burn it for divination. I do burn it for love. And the reason I need divination is because here's the thing. To be able to, oh, let me move my cell phone. I'm so sorry. To be able to be, divination is to have discernment, to recognize this is not good. This is not good. Now, in my home, do I need divination? Oh, yeah. Because nobody's going to cross that threshold that I don't know the energy work of that person. I'm going to know, I'm going to feel that energy. Now, why do I want love? Because it has been, like I said, you can never have too much love in your home. Also, when you have love and divination together, it helps keep you a little bit balanced because you're not coming from trying to decipher what's going on from an energy of anger or hatred or bitterness. You're coming from an energy of love, and that keeps you a little bit more level-headed, and that's a good thing. Now, the lust, well, that's just a little extra. I'm not using it for that purpose, but it is, I've got it. I'm going to tell you that it is a part of it so that you are aware of it. Okay? Now, The other thing I put into this nifty little jar is lavender. Mm, lavender. Now, a lot of you know that listen, I want to make it very clear. You do not have to buy your lavender at a metaphysical store in order for it to be good witch lavender. You can buy your lavender anywhere, okay? Um, I personally grow lavender, okay? I like the way it smells in my backyard. It's easy to grow. It doesn't need a lot of light. It's a plant that you can grow in a semi-shaded area. It grows year round. So it is a perennial. I believe that's right. Perennial. And it's always you cut it, it grows back, you cut it, it grows back. It's great. It's great. Now, what is lavender for? Now, as you probably figured out, you can see elements being used here. You got earth, you had two waters, you had some fire with the bay leaves. So what do you think lavender is? You're right. Lavender is the element of air. Okay. Lavender is the element of air. But it is a masculine, as you have figured out, it's a masculine energy. And as you already realized, another balance. Pine needles, masculine. Bay leaves, masculine. The roses, feminine. The hibiscus, feminine. Lavender, masculine. You see all of this balancing going on here? Now, what is lavender good for? I'm always going to look down because I'm looking at my book and because I always use it for love and protection. But it's also good for love, protection, um, chastity, uh, longevity, purification, which is what I also use it for, and happiness and peace. Now, chastity. I would tell, no, call me crazy. I would tell, if I had a way, I would definitely, if I had a teenager that was going through them teenage hormones, I probably would give them a little satchel sewn up of lavender because it promotes chastity. In other words, I like to think of lavender as not a childlike love, but a pure love, an agape love, the love that you feel for someone without needing sex to prove it. That's the kind of love lavender is. Peace, because it keeps where there is peace, there's harmony, there's balance, there's just sheer happiness, which is also, one of the things lavender is. I always refer back to lavender for almost everything. And I put it in almost everything I burn because I like that energy. Now, I hope you guys wrote all of those ingredients down. There is no, I know you're going to, well, how much of what and how much is this? No! Okay, you got the herbs. What I'm saying no to is this. There's no specific amount you have to put in. Which one do you draw more to? Like for me, I put more lavender in. I put more lavender in because to me, lavender overall is one of the things I really want to bring into my house. I really want there to be happiness. I want there to be protection. Of course, I want protection. And the protection is through every herb I put. But I want love. Love is through every herb I put. But I love the smell of lavender. And also, lavender is good for sleep. Okay, so that scent is good. So here I am. I'm going to have a peace. I'm going to have some good sleep. And here's another thing it tones down on some of the lust. Because as you recall, the hibiscus has got lust in it. But I don't want lust. I want, well, more chastity. So there we go. And there's a balancing act. Now, all that being said, you're probably saying, well, earthy wise woman, you put all that great stuff in there. Why is this item still so dark? And I'm going to tell you why. The item is that dark because I also grounded up 4 of these and I put it in there. Why? Because let's say I'm a poor student or kind of broke, okay? So one of the things I like about charcoal briquettes is that they flame up. Now I'm looking around. You're probably, why is she looking around? Why is she not paying attention to me? So I'm going to pause this for a second because the reason I'm looking around is to show you that you don't have to burn this on a briquette. So I'm going to bring some items here to show you how this works. So I'm going to pause this for a moment and I'll be right back so you won't even miss me. I'm back. See, you didn't miss me. Okay. Now, what I went and got was a seashell. Okay. Now, you can use this to burn incense in, the seashell. And inside of it, you see some Himalayan salt. Okay. First of all, you can get a seashell. You can get a bag of seashells at the 99-cent store. Why do I use seashell? Because I'm burning incense and I like to think it's a very organic thing. It's natural. And it's from the ocean, so it's a water element. And I'm like, wow, this is perfect. So I'm just going to put this right here. As you can see, I put it in a lid. And the reason is just the insulation because I'm not at my altar showing you how to do this. Now, another thing, most people disdain from using plastic. I am one of those who also does. But now, the reason there's an exception to some rules is this is a reuse. I'm reusing this. This was one thing, and I'm repurposing it for another thing. So I don't believe in wasting. I don't want to increase the trash that we have in our garbage um, areas in our world. So I will not add to that. So I'm going to try to repurpose as much as I can. Okay. Now, as I told you earlier, because to me it's been 10 minutes and for you it's been 10 seconds, I gave you the recipe for this. Another thing you can add if you want to is a base oil. That's an optional. You don't have to add that. I myself, I like to add a little bit of patchouli oil. But now here's the thing. When I was a broke witch, and that was not too long ago, I add olive oil. And that's perfectly fine. Extra virgin olive oil is of the earth. It is very good for you. Do not use a synthetically crappy oil like I use canola oil. No, just, you know, use some olive oil, okay? It works. It works quite well, okay? Um, Believe it or not, I know people who, well, that's another story. So I'm going to take the lid off and I'm going to show you what this looks like. Remember, I did grind up charcoal in this. So I'm going to just take this. Now put a little salt as an insulator. And as you notice, I'm not putting any charcoal in this. So it smells great. Take a look. I don't even know how, there you go. You see how dark it is and how nice it looks? So I'm going to take this, a little spoonful. This is one of my favorite spoons. I use it for measuring and all kinds of fun stuff. So I put that in the shell. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Let me put the lid on this thing first, such as it is. There we go. Okay, now this is what it looks like. Okay, it's just right there on top of the salt. As you can see, no charcoal because the charcoal is already grinded up in the herb mixture. So watch this. This, some say, well, why aren't you using matches? Because I'm making a video and using matches while I'm making a video is a little awkward, especially when I'm sitting down and I need the control. So here we go. I'm just going to take it and light it. Just stay right there. And let's move it away. There you are. As you can see, blessed be, it smells good. It's smoking like it would be if it was on charcoal. And how long does this last? Well, if it goes out, you can always relight it, you know. If you have wooden matches, I would strongly suggest you use those. That's fine. But as you can see, it does burn. And it burns quite well. And this is just with four, this whole thing was made with just four of my charcoal briquettes. Four of them. Mixed it all up. I put it in my food processor, grinded these all together. Okay, first I broke up the briquettes and then I added it to my mixture. And I shook it, and I shook it, and I shook it. And as you can see, it's burning quite well. I'm not stoking the flames. I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting here enjoying my incense, and the herbs that I'm burning to deity. And this can work great in a ritual, as you can see. So, right now, I'm going to put the top back on. We are all on a budget. But my suggestion before you start investing in buying stuff, invest in buying books. And like I said, I strongly suggest Scott Cunningham. The Herb book is not the only one he's written. He has written before he passed away. He wrote several books. I would suggest you invest in a lot of them. He has a really good one on solitary witchcraft, which I read when I was a much younger witch, and it was one of my first books. I would also suggest you maybe invest in books by authors like I was about to say Ray Bradbury. Oh goodness, I've been reading too much Halloween Tree. Um, Ray Buckland, Raymond Buckland. They used to call the Blue Book Uncle Bucky's Big Blue Book of Magic, but the complete book of witchcraft by Raymond Buckland is a very good investment, and I would strongly suggest you consider investing in it. You can buy them used, and that's okay. You do not have to buy everything brand new. You will be surprised at how many items you can craft and how many beautiful things you can put on your altar that you can get at the thrift store. And that's perfectly fine because once you have set this aside for ritual use and purified, how? Put it through or put it on your altar during a full moon. Put it through incense to bless it as the elements to bless it. The point is, once you use it for ritual use, you are purifying it. Okay? So don't think you have to buy brand new things. Don't think you have to buy the most exotic herbs. Use what you have and use what's close to you. Because believe me, that is one of the greatest reverence to deity, is to use what is around you. Because remember, the things that are around you on the earth, on the ground, all that is given to us by deity. So why would we not use it to worship deity? Hey, it's just my logic. And as you notice, it's still burning. And it will. So on this note, it's a beautiful Monday. I'm going to say a toast to all of you and blessed be. You guys have a great evening.